Alexa, what day is it?
It's Saturday, March 17th.
Alexa, what time is it?
The time is 9:03 a.m.
Alexa, turn on lamp 1. Hello, this is Lincoln again, and we have been pursuing various places in the world where civilization has been around for a while and watch what's become of them. So, next on our list of places, going to be Egypt. Okay, here we just start right off the bat. You're familiar with the coordinates. This is the age of the various regimes that have ruled Egypt up until the 20th century, of course. And you can see it's a long stretch. And Egypt has, many changes in regime. Now, then, an innocent person pulls somebody off the street and say, "What's this mean?" and try to explain the coordinates, and he said, "It doesn't mean anything. That's a zigzag line. There is no pattern there." That's what he'd say. I'd understand. Hope you would too. By the way, remember the Sibley graph? We have fertility in this direction and kinship or lack of kinship in this direction. This is different. This is time. All these empires are graphed as if they started out on the same day, and this is the chance of survival. 1 means nobody died out during that 50-year period. And those happen, right? Well, if you've been following these talks, you are not innocent. You know the truth. I wouldn't do that to you for the world, seeing what the knowledge has done to me, but it's an emergency. Survival depends on having a lot of capable people working on this, and I hope you will. As for me, I have no choice. The incubus is upon me. I must go on with this. Now, with your trained eye, you'll go back over those numbers again, and you'll break the graph down into 3 parts. First, there is a period of time during which the longer a civilization, empire, regime, what have you, has lasted, the better the chance of it lasting the next 50 years. This is selection. We all understand what selection is. That from there to there, we have selection. And then, well, here, okay. Egypt lies along the Nile. Oh boy, I bet you didn't know you're going to have to learn geography. Setting up an administration is difficult if you got a problem 20 miles upstream. You don't know what's happening on the other side of the rebellion. Takes a couple of centuries of shaking down to have a good chance of survival. Okay, here's a map of Egypt. You see the problem. There's the delta, reasonably broad, but here is this narrow Nile Valley. And all along here, we should have a picture, looking a little closer. Nile varies in width, of course. It's not turned on a lathe by an engineer, but you can see here, from here to here, that's about 10 miles. The valley, throughout much of its length, is only 10 miles across. The river itself at this point, that's the valley, all that green agricultural stuff. The river, if you look at it along here, it's only about 200 feet across. A couple of athletic young people could play catch across the Nile. It's just not that wide. And when you consider its impact on people's histories and people thinking, and you think, and the children could play catch across it. It is just not that big. And try playing catch across the St. Johns River, Mississippi, Hudson, the Potomac. Um, all right. At the edges of the valley, there are cliffs. Now, pretty much, if you look at this carefully, the cliffs are steep in this direction. My eye is telling me that the cliffs look like they're dropping off here, but in fact, no, the terraces are going the other direction. That's the shadow light coming in from your right. These are precipitous cliffs. So you get the flat valley of the Nile, cliffs, the high ground of the desert. All right. Um, so if you're ruling this thing and you're here and you think you've got control of things and suddenly you've got a problem there, you know what's on the other side of the problem. You know, you send your riders out into the desert, they're not going to get anywhere. As soon as somebody has a suspicion, bingo, they're on the Nile, they're coming up by boat. A nice docile river like the Nile usually is compared, to what you can do on a horse through that kind of terrain. By the time your messenger gets another 20 miles, he's intercepted and they take him in for a talk. So once you control the whole thing, then the rules change. Now it's okay, you just took off the whole Nile, and basically people out here are probably dying off pretty regularly, but you're here along the valley itself, along the river's shore. That's 10 miles across. If you're living at some random point in here, you're not going to find a wife or husband out here any more than you're going to find the king's messenger. Ain't anybody there. Completely cut off. It's just nothing. You can little farms, little houses, nothing. Um, the so automatically the geography limits your social horizon. Here, you can probably go a day's walk in any direction and you'll still find people. Here, well, on average, an hour or two's walk, and you will be in desert unless you choose to go up or downstream. So, that helps us understand some things here. Once you're well set up and you've got these, the whole river is doing what you ask it to, then you have an exceedingly high chance of surviving. For one thing, your reproductive rate is supported in a way that it wouldn't be elsewhere, because your effective mating pool size is limited. That improves your fertility. So your people aren't dying out. And for the other thing, communication that was your enemy here is now your friend. Here, for a couple of centuries, you are the insurgent. You haven't proved that you're really rightful king. Over here, you have proved that you're rightful king. And everybody else faces this low chance of getting anything successful. And here, you know what this is? Boink. It only goes for a century or so, but that's 300 years right there. Going into 300 years, we have the same curve we've seen in southern Mesopotamia. We've seen it in Rome and classical Mayans and the Anasazi, if you'll forgive my use of archaic terminology. So there's that line. There's the line. This is selection. that is the same. You're dying out because it's approaching 300 years. And here, by some hook or crook, Egypt escaped the complete collapse. Now then, I wish I could say, and that's why they built the pyramids, because they huge resources, a whole lot of history behind them. They were able to, no, no, the pyramids were built very soon after the first dynasty, or during the first. I mean, they just one day they're sitting around playing with their feet by the campfire, and oh, they made some little mannequin that looks like look like one of those, what do you call it, alien greys, flying saucer people. It's kind of cute. It's a mask, tiny little mask, and it's like, oh, that looks familiar. I wonder which came first, the discovery of that mask in this ancient village, or the conviction of people that that's what our, oh, I think probably imaginary visitors look like. I wish I knew. I've tried to find out. I would predict that the mask was found first. Anyway, making a little teeny thingy that looks like a face out of bits of bone. They bored holes in it. You could lace them together. Oh, okay. And within a single lifetime, boom, upstart the pyramids, first dynasty. At least that's my understanding of it. Now, the great ancient stuff did happen along in here. These, if memory serves, are mostly caliphates. And people probably were not so free to move around here under the Islamic rule than they were here among the original Egyptians. People are now Coptic Christians. They still speak the same language. Okay, it's the same culture. It never really disappeared. Just got overrun by the Muslims. But they haven't packed up yet. They're still there, waiting for somebody to say, "Hey, we should talk about the pharaonic Egypt. We should call them ancestral Copts." Don't change things. Okay, there you go. Selection, our usual collapse as we approach 300 years, and then this amazing durability of civilizations. One, two, three. See, this one dropped by a third, from 1 to about 0.6. This one dropped from 1 to 0.5. And this dropped from 1 to 0. There's only one society left at that point, I guess. Okay, good. Am I missing anything? You pardon my saying it, but the high dam at Aswan is about like that. If there's an earthquake or something cracks that dam, the lake there is huge, and the water is limited by those cliffs that's going to come down this direction. Oh, dude, I don't like the looks of that. And of course, the delta is just a mud pie. The Mediterranean, right off the delta, is a mile deep. This is a mile-high mud pie. The Mediterranean basin used to be largely dry, was about a mile deep. The terrific drop in height from here to here cut the Nile Valley so those, that's not bedrock under there. There's approaching a mile of silt under there. That's bedrock there and there. The river ages ago slashed this deep valley. That's kind of fun to speculate on what flew around down in there. Could cobras fly? They get a mile below sea level. Um, okay, Great Pyramid is there. The pyramids, by and large, are right here, right at the latitude of the Bermuda Triangle and the Devil's Triangle, if you must know. Um, and the Giza Plateau, where they sit, has proven track record surviving thousands of years. Alexandria, right on the edge of the mud pile built by Alexander, because from here, that's the direction of Athens. You'd think Athens would be straight north from here, but no, it's kind of northwest. That's the direction. So basically, Alexander got the place closest to home to build his city. Um, and they have collected priceless manuscripts from all over the world and they gathered them into a new great library of Alexandria. Well, we know what happened. We don't know what happened, but the old library of Alexandria was destroyed along with its contents. Some people blame Christians. I think there may have been a little slip of the mud pie playing part of the role in that. Everybody's up there using lamps. Just a teeny little slip. The buildings fall. The lamps light all the priceless documents on fire. And then somebody claims credit for it, right? Oh, well, that's the judgment. So there, we know this worked, that failed. You have priceless manuscripts stored where? In the Giza Plateau, where if you have dispersed tunnels, virtually indestructible, or Alexandria, which is known to collapse. Well, they wanted Alexandria, of course. We are talking people here, okay? If people were smart enough to figure that one out, you think they'd need me to warn them? Okay, there's there are the cliffs. And that'll do it for today. All the best. We will have another talk again soon.